All right, so I'm here with Caleb, who is a former student of mine from church. I have the benefit of meeting a lot of young people, a lot of high school seniors, in my uh, work as a youth group teacher. Well, it's not work; it's it's it's
Service.
volunteering service. Yeah, in my service as a youth group teacher, and I wanted to talk with him about his college decision process, his college application process, about what it's like to be a Korean American, maybe even being a Korean American in church, which is pretty much the same thing, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, just maybe just get some more perspective from life of a recent college graduate. So, Caleb, yeah, just introduce yourself.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for having me, James. I'm Caleb Moon. I graduated from the University of Oregon with a degree in biochemistry, minored in computer science, just this last June, June of 2025. And right now I'm working for an ophthalmologist while I'm doing my medical school applications. So,
Yeah, awesome.
yeah.
So one of the things that stuck out to me when you were making your college decision process during your senior year was the decision to go to a state school. And I have known that you are smart and very well could have gone to a quote unquote better school or a name brand school or a school that has more of a prestige factor, which is something that a lot of Korean Americans or Asian Americans your age, well, in high school often consider as maybe the priority in where they decide to go. But you actively decided not to do that. So why didn't you want to go to a more prestigious school?
Yeah. I mean, for such a big decision, I feel like the answer for me was pretty simple. I mean, obviously, I was kind of weighing all the pros and cons and considering things beyond just like the financial side of things, but ultimately, it came down to what was my like career end goal and what did that mean for like my priorities in terms of like financial kind of decisions, I guess. So, I guess I could have, so I was kind of at the end stage, I was deciding between University of Oregon. I guess I should specify I went to the Clark Honors College, so it's like there's a little bit of added cost for that, but it wasn't really a factor. And then UW, I was lucky enough to receive direct admission to their engineering school.
Hmm.
So is that or Boston University? Um, so yeah, those are like the three decisions, and two of those decisions are a lot more expensive than one of them. So
Mhm.
really just kind of made me think like, oh, what do I want to do, post college? And the way I thought about it was like, okay, I can go to UW, I can go to Boston University, but I'd be spending like way more money, like probably like quadruple the amount I'd spend at University of Oregon. But if medicine didn't work out, I felt like I had like a safety net. Like I could study engineering and I can go work like a corporate job as an engineer or like pursue research or something like that. I don't really know. It's
Mhm.
kind of the thought process. But um, I kind of realized like, no, that was very unlikely to happen. Like I knew medicine or like, like some kind of research or something like that was the end game for me. So basically more school was the
Mhm.
goal. Um, so that's kind of why I decided to go to UO because financially that was the wisest decision because I had received a lot of money to go to UO. I basically went for free. Um, so yeah, considering I wanted to go to more school after undergrad, it was probably the smartest decision in terms of like finances and stuff
Yeah.
and being kind of thinking ahead in that aspect. So,
Yeah. And that's one of the things I remember a lot about you, especially in high school, was that you were very much thinking about the personal finance side of picking your school more than other factors. Now, did you feel any pressure from your parents at all to apply to out-of-state schools or to not go to U of O?
I think I don't I can't speak for like other families, obviously. I don't really know. But I think I was lucky in that my parents were very uh, supportive of kind of whatever decisions. They understood that there's, pros and cons to whatever decision I make. I would say, I don't think, now that I think about it, I don't think they really pressured me at all to go um, to a non-state school, to like a private school or anything like that. I think my mom was very much like, "Oh, we know you want to go to medicine. You should just go to a state school." My dad was a little bit of like, oh, he wanted me to kind of like experience, like a different state, like living in a different area and kind of like the cultural side of things, I guess, instead of being stuck in Oregon. So I would say that was the main reason that he would pressure me at all,
Hmm.
if at all, to go out of state. But I think my concern over finances, personal finance, very much came from my dad. So he
Mm.
was also very supportive of going to University of Oregon. I think my dad paid off his student debt from like med school and undergrad and everything before 35.
Mm.
So yeah, he was like him and my mom were like really scrapping and really doing all they could to like kind of get that all paid. They were very financially, I guess, wise. So yeah, that's just something that they kind of instilled in me. So it makes sense that they kind of like supported my decision to go to Oregon.
Gotcha. And
Yeah.
did you yourself have any desire? Okay, let's say if, well, I can't say if cost wasn't a factor because that takes away the
Yeah.
biggest factor, but did you yourself
Uh-huh.
have any desire to go to an East Coast school? Like all the schools that
Yeah.
Asians apply to.
Right. Yeah, I definitely did. I mean, I applied early decision to UPenn. So
Mm.
that was kind of like the dream. And unfortunately, it didn't work out. But Um, yeah, I actually really, really, really wanted to go away, like
Mm.
on the East Coast, because like I would visit my family out there, and I really loved the Pennsylvania kind of like New York area. And I wanted to kind of like experience what it's like out there, but um, I don't know. I feel like I kind of visited campuses, and like at the end of the day, I decided that it was like, I don't know, I'd have time. I could go somewhere else for med school, kind of out of state. So it
Gotcha.
didn't seem worth the like tens of thousands of dollars that
Yeah.
you're
Well,
paying. So
let's talk about that too, because
yeah,
I think it's important to talk about numbers if you're comfortable sharing about the
yeah, yeah,
actual financial impact of the
right.
decision you made. Let's say, okay, if you were to
Hmm.
weigh, I don't know if you remember, but what University of Washington and Boston, what the cost of those would be compared to the cost of you going to U of O, how much
Right.
money do you think you saved by going to U of O?
I think at the time I remember looking at like kind of crunching the numbers for Boston. And it was like probably like 79K a year. And they gave me
79K a year? Oh my God.
Yeah, it was something, it was pretty ridiculous. And then they
Okay.
gave me, um, I think 10K a year.
How
So I was like,
generous.
oh, great. Only like 70K. That's perfect.
Yeah.
So that would have been like, I would have been like 200K probably in terms of like student costs at most, or at least. So
Oh, at least. Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
what,
yeah,
250 probably at
yeah,
least,
250
right?
is probably a more realistic
I mean,
number.
honestly, if you factor in travel and
Yeah,
other
living
costs,
expenses.
it might even be closer to
Yeah,
300 total to
yeah, yeah.
oh my
So for
gosh.
just
Okay,
the
so that's
first 4 years of school was not worth
right.
it.
Okay, so that's Boston. All right. So what
Yes.
about UW?
So UW, I don't remember exactly. All I remember is they only gave me like 2,000 a year, and it was definitely less than Boston, but it was still north of like 50K.
Mm,
So I think UW is pretty notorious for being very stingy in terms of like financial aid out of state. Um, so yeah, that was
yeah.
still probably around like 200K
Wow.
total.
And
So
so now let's with U of O, that decision, how much did it end up costing you the
yeah,
4 years?
so yeah, I got um quite a few scholarships from the school. All I had to do was pay the difference for the honors program, which was, I think, around 5,000 a year.
Oh,
So yeah, it's like 2 to 5,000, something like that. Um,
and how
and
did you pay
then
that difference?
those I had saved up some money. So first 2 years I paid off, but then my dad, I guess he felt bad or something. I don't know. He like helped me out for the final 2 years.
I see. And
So
what did you do to pay that off? Did you have money saved or did you work during
yeah, I
school?
just had money saved. Sophomore year, I didn't have to pay for food or housing or anything because I was an RA. So
Right.
I got like free meal plan, free housing, along with like my stipend or whatever it was for that full year. And then yeah, after that, I would just work as like a tutor here and there because I did like pay for rent and stuff, and that
Gotcha.
on top of um, tuition, the honors college tuition was like,
Right.
it was a little bit more difficult on top of being a student.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
Gotcha. And so did you ever feel like you missed out by not going to, a different school, an out-of-state school?
Mm, yeah, I think so. I mean, like obviously Kyle, my brother, he's going to school down in Texas. Um, and it seems, yeah, I kind of miss like, or I kind of wish that I got that like fresh start. Like I got to make new friends and like kind of explore a new city, a new area,
Hmm.
and just kind of experience also that discomfort and the homesickness, like
Mm.
dealing with that while juggling like being a student stuff and like just learning. I feel like that kind of exponentially boosts your like your social skills and things like that, just kind of being thrown into a new environment like that. So
Right.
I feel like I did kind of miss out on that, but
But the trade-off is that you basically
yeah,
graduated from college without any
yeah,
debt, right?
yeah,
Did,
not
did,
worth.
did you have any
Yeah,
debt out of college?
no,
Wow. So
no debt.
completely debt free.
Yes,
Wow, that's amazing.
yes,
So it's safe to say that by going to your state school in your home state, you saved yourself almost 300K. Had you
yeah,
gone to a
probably.
different, had you gone to Boston or,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Boston for sure probably
right,
saved like 250, 300K.
right.
Yeah.
And the reason why I point that out is for those who are not familiar with Asian culture, is that there are definitely families out there who will absolutely encourage their kid to go to an East Coast name brand school, no matter the cost. And I mean that, like, no matter the cost, they will say to the kid, we'll pay for it. And you just go get that whatever prestige factor, get the highest name brand you can, no matter what. So that then my question to you is, what made your parents different?
Hmm.
Because every year, like every year I hear, you know, I, as you know, I do these
Yeah.
seminars, right, with
Yes.
the seniors
Yes. Of
about
course.
finances, the cost of college, because nobody talks about this, either at their school or maybe their parents talk about it. But at the end of the day, without fail, come college acceptance time, I'll hear these stories of these kids saying, yeah, I'm gonna go to this school because I got in. And I asked them, okay, well, how much is it? And it's like they say, well, it's like 30, 40K a year. And they have no context for
Yeah.
what that means.
Yeah.
And I asked them, well, what do your parents think about that? And they're like, well, they said they're gonna pay for it. And it just hurts to hear because that's also what my parents said to me. And I ended up having to help pay their student loans that they took out for my brother and I because my graduation year coincided with the Great Recession. So I felt the pain
Oh, yeah.
of of student loan debt, not only just my student loan debt, but my parents' student loans that they took out on me, right?
Yeah.
So, but every year, it happens. And it's because
Yeah.
people don't have the context for these numbers, these outrageous numbers that we think of outrageous now. But when you're a high schooler, what does it matter?
Yeah.
What's 20K? What's the difference between 20K, 50K, 100K? Like one of my favorite questions that I ask every senior group is how much do you think the average student loan balance is for a graduating college student? And without, every year, someone, more than one person will say 100K. So if they already think that way, that, then graduating with 80K of debt seems like a deal to them, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
so a lot of again, a lot of this comes from just lack of personal finance awareness, but it's also messages that they hear probably from their parents about, hey, just get into the best school you can and don't worry about the money. Not all of them, but a good chunk of them. So, yeah, all that to give more context for why I'm asking this question of where did your parents get this attitude about student loan debt?
Yeah. Um, I don't know. I guess like I said, my dad has always been he's been an advocate for like financial wellness, I guess you could
Hmm.
call it. Um, like, you take care of your body, you also should take care of your finances. Like you take care of your body. It's something you kind of like keep healthy and maintain. I think so. I think for my dad, at least, I think my dad and my mom kind of come from different or kind of approached it differently in terms of, I guess, what made them different is, I guess my dad was just very kind of like very frugal, and he himself, I think, understood that prestige isn't like, I mean, it's great. It's nice to go and experience that, but it's not like the determining factor for your success or anything like that. Because he also went to a state school. He went to, I think he went to Arizona State, and then he went to med school at University of Arizona.
Mm.
So he kind of like he just stayed where he was at. He went to state schools, kind of um, went with the most financially wise decision. We were actually talking the other night because I was going over my med school list with him, and he told me that he was waitlisted and then accepted to Chicago Med. So he could have gone to Chicago Med, could have like kind of similar situation, could have like kind of uprooted everything, gone there. Obviously, would have cost a lot more, but he liked the city he had visited, and he was definitely thinking about kind of going out there and experiencing that. But he just said it was like too expensive, and um, thought it was wiser to go to University of Arizona for medical school. So I think that's kind of where my dad comes from. Like the fact that he has always been very frugal. That's kind of something that was instilled in him. I guess by his parents, by my grandparents. And then I think my mom's side of it was very much more like kind of looking out for me, like my personal well-being, not necessarily focused on the finances, just because she liked it because I was close. if I went to University of Oregon. So if I ever was like sick or whatever, or like she wanted to come visit and help out, she could. Um, but also, um, I think she knew that I was pretty set with medicine. And sure, there's this big shiny thing of like going to, this prestigious school out of state, and it's like a fun new experience. But she didn't want me to like kind of get distracted by that. She wanted me to like do what was best for me. And she thought that, it'd be easiest for her to support me if I stayed in state. And there'd be kind of less pressure that comes with the finances and the money and kind of pouring all that money into education like that. Um, and yeah, I don't know. I think she was just more of like a kind of was looking out for my personal well-being, but
Hmm.
UO just happened to kind of align with everything better for in her opinion. So
Gotcha.
yeah,
Yeah, again, that's very unusual, and
right.
you're very un
Yeah.
lucky to have parents who
Hmm.
who think
Yes,
that way.
very lucky. That's
Uh,
another funny thing though. My mom actually um obviously supports me in like wanting to pursue medicine as a career or pursuing medicine as a career, but she was like I remember in high school she was kind of almost discouraging me from going into medicine because obviously she
oh,
was supporting my dad through like residency and even, why when they had us like when we were younger and supporting him through that, like it's very hard and very like costly physically, mentally, financially and everything. Um, so yeah, she was like very worried, I guess.
gotcha,
Yeah,
gotcha,
yeah,
gotcha. Well, yeah, I mean that she definitely has her own, perspective on that.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely her lived experience. So, yeah. What do you think, um, how do I say this? What do you think of people your age? Like think back to high school and then your college years. What do you think of the people that were so focused on the prestige factor and, for picking a school? Um, because I'm sure you're around people like that who are just
Hmm.
maybe even borderline obsessed with trying to get into
Right.
a certain school, um, an Ivy League school, a top 20 school, probably knew all the rankings of the schools that they're applying to.
Right. Yeah.
What was your thought about their attitude towards the college decision process?
What was my thought? Um, I think I would say, I don't know, I've actually never really thought about this, but a part of me was kind of like, mm, kind of worried. Like, I don't know, it was kind of scary. Like, I went to Lincoln High School, and I feel like it's a kind of like one of the more like higher achieving high schools in like Portland, like metro area.
Mhm.
So I had a good amount of friends that were like shooting for Ivies, and like I remember like I had a conversation with one of my friends. He's half Filipino, half white. And I remember him saying like, "Oh, I'm just gonna identify as Filipino. I'm just gonna exclude the whites on my college app because that'll probably be better for my chances or something like that." But it's just like kind of like it was kind of scary. Like the like the fever that they had for Ivy League schools, and like it was very um I don't know, very like competitive, very, I don't know, it seemed like a perversion of like what education should be, or like it should be for like the quality of education, not necessarily like, oh, I want to go into the Ivy League schools. I mean, a lot of the time, these Ivy League schools have better quality of education and like better faculty, like more funding and all that, more research. But it just, I don't know. Sometimes it didn't feel like that. Sometimes it just felt like, oh, I want to go into an Ivy League school. So I guess to sum it up, it just kind of like felt, um, I wouldn't say I wasn't a part of that group though. I mean, I obviously applied to like Ivy League schools and like nice schools and stuff like that. So I understand how they felt. Like it's nice to be able to like get into a competitive school like that and also um like to enjoy that. But I don't know. I just kind of felt like, yeah, I don't know. I just kind of like felt bad, I guess. It just felt like a lot of pressure, and I was lucky enough to not really have that pressure from my parents. So
So do you think that pressure was from their parents?
I think so. I mean, yeah, I mean, a lot of them were like very self-driven and stuff, but also a lot of them came from like it was Lincoln High School again, so a lot of them came from very affluent families, and um, I think part of like another reason why they'd be aiming for these schools is because their families can afford it. Like it's they were definitely in that tax bracket. So, but no, I remember there's a friend who like all his older brothers all like went to these very nice schools. So that was like another factor adding on like, oh, you don't want to be the one brother that didn't make it into, whatever, Stanford or Harvard or whatever it is. So it surprisingly, I feel like I didn't hear much about kind of like where this pressure is coming from or whatever. Like they were all just kind of saying like, "Oh, I want to go to this school," but I don't think I ever heard like, "Oh, I want to go here because of like this program or because of this professor and their research." It was a lot of like I want to go, but they never really said why. And I feel like I don't know, kind of
As
reading
if it
between
was
the lines.
obvious.
Yeah, one could only assume that it's probably you're still a kid, so your parents are still kind of reinforcing a lot of your behavior, and they're kind of responsible for your behavior. So
Yeah. You
yeah,
said scary a couple
yeah,
times. Can
yeah, yeah.
you unpack that a bit? What was scary about it?
Um, well, like I said before, it just seemed like like learning was secondary. Like it wasn't like, oh, I want to go to this school, because of whatever. It was just kind of there were these other factors kind of going into it. And also it just felt competitive. Like there was kind of a little bit of a tension always, like when we like ask each other like around SAT season and like
Oh, I see. Okay.
um especially when it came to like I would get involved in like extracurriculars and like service-based clubs and things. There's a lot of subtle conflict between people who were in charge of like the administrative side of those clubs. Like everyone wanted to be president, and people who weren't president would maybe like talk trash a little bit about the president and what they're doing and what they're not doing and how they should not be president anymore or something like that. I don't know. So it was like it all everything was just built towards I want a better resume. I want a better application. Like why can't we just like make sandwiches for the homeless just because it's like service and it's a fun time with your friends too? Like why is there so much of this like drive to be the president, to be, things that look good on your resume? So
So you
yeah.
saw a lot of that, of people doing activities and doing certain things in order to, not for the activity itself,
Yeah.
but for what that activity would get them.
Yeah, it was the means to an end. It wasn't like, and it was kind of like, yeah, it was like kind of crazy that people would just kind of like push through and do something that they weren't really passionate about just for the title or for whatever it was. So,
Did you see anybody like, I mean, hopefully not, but did you see anybody like crash and burn from that process?
um, I I wasn't ever really close to anyone that did thankful. Well, I don't know. Thankfully not. I don't know. But I don't know. I've definitely heard from friends like, oh, like so and so, like after so many years, like it wasn't, it didn't turn out great for them. But um, yeah, burnout was definitely a thing. Even like just within the scope of high school too. Like I did like the IB full IB diploma or whatever it was.
Hmm, hmm.
Um, and yeah, there was definitely like during the season of like doing all of our IAs, which are like basically like research papers and like leading up to IB testing. I mean, my class, we didn't have to do IB testing because of COVID. Um, but yeah, it was very like, yeah, a lot of people were, crazy procrastination, like a lot of like, yeah, a lot of burnout.
Gotcha.
So
Gotcha. Yeah, yeah, that is definitely unfortunate because, one of the
yeah,
things I pointed out in my one of my earlier videos was that, sometimes for these people getting into that really elite, really hyper competitive school can really backfire because whatever you did in high school, you're going to have to do to another level once you're there. Like it's not like you get a chance to just rest and relax. Like you made it now. It's like, no, you gotta compete that much harder. And so if your resume isn't or is just stacked with things because you wanted the result of getting into that school, but not for the actual like joy of it, then that's a great way to burn out. That's a great way to
yeah.
lose yourself, really.
And I also want to clarify, I'm not excluding myself from this group as well. I think I'm also just being not as a consequence of being in that culture, but just, obviously my parents would like put me into clubs, put me into like whatever, um, and stuff like that. And like I did the full IB diploma. I definitely didn't need to, but I did it anyway. So I'm also kind of guilty of that. Like, oh, maybe we just kind of like do things like not because we want to, but obviously because it'll make my application stronger. And I think like obviously you have to do things that you don't like. Not you're not going to enjoy everything you're going to do, but I feel like there is an extent to which you should do that.
Sure. Yeah. I mean,
And
there is definitely a
and
game to be played,
yeah, there's
right?
definitely a game for
Yeah.
sure.
But there's
Yeah,
but there are those who take the game way too far.
pretty far. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
So then when
So
college acceptance or college decision time came, did anybody think, was anybody puzzled by your decision to go to
me?
UVO? Yeah.
Oh,
Or like your peers?
my peers.
Did you get any
Um,
sense from them?
no, I don't think so. I think throughout high school, I've always kind of been like, I don't know. I was never really like a gunner or anything like that. I didn't really like, I wanted to go to the East Coast and like, that was pretty much it. Like UPenn, I applied to UPenn because it's like literally right there in, Philadelphia, and my family lives like 20 minutes away from campus.
Hmm.
Um, so like all my family's there. Obviously, it's a great school. They are associated with a medical school as well. So it kind of checked all the boxes for me. So that was more my reasoning for applying there. But um, I don't know. I feel like never. I was kind of like not cruising in high school, but um, I was never really known to be like kind of in that group of
I
like
see.
yeah.
So it
Um
wasn't, nobody was caught off guard. They're like, oh, what? You're
I
just
don't
going to,
think anyone was caught off guard now.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I never ran for like what is it? Like the student board or whatever it was, or like
Hmm.
um yeah, I don't know. I never really went. I just kind of like played golf and studied and hung out
Yeah.
with my friends. I don't know.
And for
Yeah.
a context, what, if you don't mind sharing, what were your grades like in high school?
Oh, bittersweet. I had um I had one B,
1B.
and it was in college and career exploration, or extra A's.
I also
So,
had 1B in high school,
oh, nice.
and it was in Japanese.
Oh, brutal. You understand my pain then.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But hey, it all worked out, right? For both of us.
Yes, it definitely
Gotcha.
did.
And then for further context, you took the MCAT recently, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
do you mind sharing what you got?
Yeah. I took it in, wow, like over a year ago, a little over a year. Oh no, over a year ago now in January 2025, and I scored a 514. And that was my first and only attempt.
And that's what percentile again?
89th percentile.
Ninth.
So
Okay. Wow.
not
It's pretty great.
bad. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so if there is a high schooler that is listening to this in the midst of perhaps their about to go into college application season, if they're a junior, going into their senior year, or just, just in high school, and what advice would you give them in terms of how they should spend their high school years in terms of in the context of college applications?
Um, Advice. Do you mean like advice specifically for kind of like picking where you want to go to school, or just kind of like what you're
Sure.
doing throughout college
Yeah,
or
anything.
high school?
Anything. Yeah, imagine another Asian kid,
Yeah,
who's, well, like a lot of Asian kids, they might feel a certain pressure
right.
to go to these schools, the schools
Yeah.
that are in the rank, the top ranked schools or whatever. Like what would you say to them?
Well, in regards to picking a school, um, I guess if you are a Asian American 17, 18-year old, your parents are probably going to be very audible with their opinions. Um, and if not, that's great. That kind of reduces the background noise. But I think they have a point in that, being at a prestigious, nice school does open doors for you. But I don't think it's the number one, like, it's not really the major determining factor in your success or your opportunities after graduation. Especially, I think um, it matters more kind of like how well things align with your goals and um, how much effort and how like hard you work wherever you're at. Like you want to be in an environment that helps you, that kind of like matches you and like helps you do your best. So, because wherever you go, if you're like doing your best, then that's all that matters really. It's like, relatively you could be doing better than others. And like, sure, you go to Harvard or whatever and then be like stressed out, burnt out constantly, having a really hard time in classes. And that's not really fun. That's not conducive to developing your career and your kind of life ultimately. So I think um, when you're thinking about being in school, like you're an 18-year-old probably. So you should be starting to like kind of make your own big life decisions. And this is probably like that first big life decision that you make. So really kind of take agency over it, like do your research, kind of figure out what's generally what you want to do. Sometimes things change and that's fine. Even if you decide on going to one school, things can change. You can like transfer, you can apply to like different programs. Like it's all gonna kind of work out. It just will only work out if you know like exactly like if you're very clear with what you want and if the steps you're taking are reaching you to that goal with the fewest kind of like zigzags and deviations, which I feel like sometimes being distracted by a shiny prestigious school can be a big zigzag in your trajectory. So,
Gotcha.
um, yeah, just get used to taking agency and like if you make the wrong decision or a decision that you're not happy with, there's like you can still figure it out in the future anyways. That's what kind of what being learning how to be an adult is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Awesome.
I don't know, I'm only 23. I'm still learning too. So yeah.
Sure. Yeah, we all are. Okay, let's switch gears a little bit to personal finance because I think that's another thing that you and I are both interested and have connected on. It sounds like a lot of what you've learned about personal finance came from your parents, which I think is awesome. But I'm sure a lot of it came from your own research, you know. And what is your general, I know this is kind of a broad question, but what's your attitude towards money?
um I think I like the term financial wellness. I like going to the like I like taking care of my body. I like going to the gym. I like kind of moving and doing stuff like that. And I think um finances are kind of the same. It's like a little consistent efforts kind of over the years that help maintain your financial well-being and your financial health.
What are the
Um,
aspects of financial wellness for you?
Aspects of financial wellness. Um, I would say major thing is habits, like the everyday little things, like learning, um, like in college, like learning self-control was a big one. Like, you're in charge of your own money at that point. And you're probably working, so you have this spending money that you can obviously just go get food and like, do whatever. And then like buy a new like gaming console or whatever. But I think it's learning how to manage and recognize these kind of like fleeting desires and differentiate it from things you really want and that are worth spending your money on, like experiences included. Like, I don't think you should be like kind of like holding on to all your money and like kind of not doing anything, not eating with your friends, not hanging out, but like being able to kind of manage the desires and the kind of like wants
Mhm.
and differentiating from needs. And like you can give into the wants here and there, but it's like at the end of the day, like managing it. So habits are a big one. And I think having a financial goal, like a more specific goal is important too. Like you can't just be like, oh, I want to save a lot of money. I want to like be frugal. I think you need to be more specific than that. Like for me, I want to go to medical school. So what does that mean? That means I should probably like save as much money as I can and kind of like try to take as little money from like, loans as I can. So um that means, going to in-state schools, saving on undergrad education. That means kind of applying to med schools where I think I can get merit-based financial support. And starting like investment accounts is a good way also just to kind of like build up that buffer. So um, those larger goals I feel like are a directive that kind of pull forward your habits or shape your habits. So
Yeah. So on that topic of investing,
yeah,
because not a lot of people, first of all, not a lot of Asians talk about money, which is funny because I feel like a lot of Asians want to show that they
yeah,
make money,
yeah,
but actually talking about it is a very different matter. And specifically when it comes to investing, well, I mean, you probably know the stats as well as I do. You know, the vast majority of people don't invest,
yeah.
period. I mean, the vast majority of people probably don't even save money, period. What got you into investing?
My dad,
Right.
I remember he bought like he started my account back in when I started high school, I think, and he bought me 4 shares of Amazon
Oh, okay.
and uh like uh uh like 5 shares or like 10 shares of Chipotle or something. And he was like kind of like walking me through it. He was like teaching me how to do it. And then he managed it for like a little bit and would kind of like text me like, "Hey, I just bought more of this." Um or like I don't know, I kind of like sold this. And he definitely like kind of played a game with the with the
Individual
stock
stocks?
market, which is not what I do at all right now. But he just like introduced the idea to me. And then later on, he was like, "Oh, like this is what your portfolio should look like. You should have this amount in, your index funds." And these when he kind of like told me like what everything was, and then he was like, "Oh, like buy some from like companies that you like or that you think will do well." So yeah, and then I just kind of got more involved over time. Obviously, it took a lot of repetition for me to like retain the information and kind of learn it because I don't know, I was like busy studying or whatever. I didn't feel
Yeah,
like learning
sure.
more stuff
Yeah,
until like college became kind of a clearer picture for me, and I was like, oh, I should probably get into this. So,
gotcha.
um,
And
yeah.
what kind of account is this? Is it was just a regular brokerage
No, just
account, or
yeah,
was
just
like
a regular. I didn't start my Roth until like South senior year high school, junior year or
right?
something like that. Yeah, I didn't
Because you
start
were
until
working
later.
then, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. So then, when did you start? Well, what is your investing philosophy currently?
Oh, it's just put it in and forget about it.
Yeah, yeah. Put into
Yeah,
what?
like um, just I have it in like VOO, VT, just like all the index funds. Like, sure, you can like put a little in growth, like the growth ones, and a little bit in like the global one, and a little bit in like the all the like there's like different kinds of, what is it? Like ETFs or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, every month I get my paycheck. I have a little Excel sheet. I put how much my paycheck was, and then like a big percent of it just goes straight to the investment account. Like before I can even do anything, I just put it away. Well, I can't touch it.
Oh my gosh, I'm so insanely jealous, bro. Like,
Really?
man, if I invested when I was your age, it would be yeah, I'm not
Because I
I
mean,
should
I
I shouldn't
saw
think about
something. Don't they say like your money will double like every 7 years or something like that?
it. Yeah,
Or
yeah,
no?
the rule of 72. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Assuming yeah, yeah, yeah. That's generally the idea, right?
Right.
Assuming an average rate of return.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay. Okay, so what percentage do you invest? I'm not going
Oh,
to ask
I
you
can I
amounts,
can look
but
right now.
what's you can look it up right now. What a nerd.
Yeah, I don't remember. I did it a long time ago, but I still use it because I'm not paying for rent right now, obviously,
hmm
'cause I'm with my parents.
hmm
Um, so I'd say around mm, around like 40% in the investment. And then like I have my savings account. I put um like probably like 20-ish% into there. And then there's a flat rate for that I put into the retirement account. And then the rest is just for food.
Gotcha. Yeah. Gotcha. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, just the fact that you have a positive net worth at your age already puts you in a very different league than a lot of your peers. What, so,
Yeah,
okay.
I guess so.
Yeah. Well, okay. So maybe now we can talk more generally about, I mean, what do you think is I mean, I don't want to put a label on you, but would you say you're Gen Z? Like I'm a millennial. Like I'm pretty firmly a millennial. Like, but are you Gen Z? Is that what
I
people tend to
think
call you?
so. I've been told act old for my age, but
You
yeah,
act old for your age. Okay, okay.
yeah.
So okay, all right.
So Gen Z, yeah.
Okay, okay. So let's maybe we don't have to worry about labels, but let's say people your age, right? So like let's say
Sure.
young 20s. What do you think their attitude of money is?
Hmm. Uh, well, I was having dinner with my friends with some buddies like a week or 2 weeks ago, and we are talking about like investments. Like, oh yeah, they have these like investment accounts as well, but it's very much like gamified, if that makes sense,
So are
the
they
way they're
like trying to
talking
trade?
about it. Yeah, yeah, it's like trading and like, you know, stuff like that, like timing the market and stuff like that. And
Oh, ti timing
um,
the market. Timing the
yeah,
market.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
timing the market. So and then I have another friend who I was talking to the other day, like, I was like showing him basically like how he can open an account, you know, with Fidelity and that he should kind of do that. And I was having that conversation with him. So I feel like usually it's one of those two. It's either they know nothing or they know all the not the wrong things, but like the like riskier things, like the
Mm,
fun, exciting things or whatever.
I see.
So
I see.
that's in terms of investment. And like in terms of money, it's like I don't really know. I don't really talk to my friends about money. So
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay. So it's not a lot of long-term, or I don't know, would you say that's a lot, it's not really long-term
I don't
thinking?
think so. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think majority of my friends, I'll like talk to them. Somehow it'll come up like, oh, retirement account or whatever. And they'll have heard of it, but they're like, oh, right, I need to start that. Or like, I don't know. It's like they've heard of it and they've been told about it, but it's like, I don't know, maybe not a lot of long-term considerations when it comes to money. I think it's a lot of just kind of survive now.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think? Well, I have to ask just because I'm tempted and I think about these kinds of things a lot. Do you ever think about the whole FIRE movement? Have you heard of that? Like the retire early mentality?
No, I haven't.
Oh,
That
really?
sounds interesting. No, yeah, I
Oh,
haven't
okay,
heard about
okay.
that.
I mean, FIRE basically stands for financial independence, retire early.
Oh,
And so
okay.
it's like a sort of a subculture within personal finance minded people where they want to like accumulate as much wealth, as much
Oh,
investments, as much assets as quickly as possible so that they can exit the workforce earlier than traditional retirement age. Let's say before their mid 60s. So like retiring when they're in their
wow.
50s or maybe in their 40s or whatever. Um, has that ever crossed your
No, I don't
mind?
think so. I would be bored.
Gotcha.
Like I'd probably want to work as a physician until like my body probably would not want to anymore.
Uh-huh.
Or I don't know, I'd probably get sick of it by the time I'm 65. But I don't know. I don't think so.
Gotcha.
That's
Gotcha.
never really crossed my mind.
So do you think about when you're doing your investing, then do you think about retirement as the goal, or are you investing for a different purpose?
Um, I don't think retirement is the goal. I think it's more, I just feel safer, like, um, just having that security and that kind of like, sure, like, I don't feel like right now, the way I feel is like, oh, I want to work for like as long as I can. I'm going to love my work. Um, but I guess, maybe I'll change my mind and it's just kind of nice to have like something kind of in the back pocket that I can't touch that's just gonna kind of like be there and be there and be there. And it's like a very safe thing. I think I saw something the other day. It was like a huge percent of Americans, like oh, it was like 70 something percent of Americans can't afford like a $500 medical expense or something
Yeah,
like that.
right,
Like it's
right.
kind of crazy. Like that kind of scares me. Like I don't know if I'd be able to kind of live like day to day like that without something not just like in the back pocket for now, but also for like in the very distant future when, you know, like I will like get tired, maybe I'll get hurt, something will happen. I'll just like it'll be harder to work. So
So it is
it'd be
a
nice.
you view it as a safety net
Yeah, it's like a safety net. Yeah.
for some time in perhaps maybe if you needed to use it in the near future.
Sure. That and like in terms of like retirement plans, I don't really know what I'm gonna do in like 50 years, so or 40 years. So it's like
Yeah,
might as well just start it. It doesn't take that much work. Only
sure.
like this little bit of my paycheck that I'm not really gonna
Wait,
use
this little
anyway.
bit. You said
So
you're investing 40% of
oh
it.
that well that's like the investment account. And then there's like this flat rate that I put into the retirement account.
Oh, I see. Okay, so you put the
Yeah.
majority of your money in your brokerage account.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I see.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Wow.
Yeah. I have
Okay,
it
yeah.
calculated.
So you that would be money that you could access
Yeah. Yeah,
before
I could.
retirement. Yeah. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Well, I mean, yeah, that alone, I mean, wow. If you don't make if you don't do anything drastic, man, you are going to be set. It's what's funny is like I feel like
That's the goal.
yeah, what's funny is like even if you don't know a lot about the fire movement, a lot of people would probably say like, "Oh, dude, he's totally doing he's
That's
totally doing
so
everything
funny
we would
because
do."
I definitely don't want to retire early. So, wait, what was it like for you though? Like, what was the progression of going from like post college, recent grad, like the people around you, their opinions about money, and like how did that change? Like as you got older, as like people around you are starting families, getting married.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like I feel like a lot of people, I think your generation, honestly, talks about money a lot more than older generations. I don't know why, but I mean, especially within the Asian American community, like we don't talk about money at all. So I can't say what the attitudes are of my peers and my generation, but for me, and I think this is answering your question, the biggest learning lesson, right, of my life, and I think I might have talked about this in a previous video, is the recession. Because I graduated in
Oh, yeah,
2008, and that's when the recession happened.
yeah.
And I didn't know anything about money prior to then, because my parents were like, "Don't worry about money. Just focus on school. Just focus on that's your job, right?" And so I ran with that. But then come graduation, um, I peel back the layers of my family's finances and I find out that they're in just like tremendous amounts of debt for my schooling, my brother's schooling. And so that those 20s, my entire 20s were really spent helping my family out with unbearing them from this debt. And now to be fair, they didn't tell me to do this. I volunteered to do it because I'm the firstborn son. Like, what am I going to do? Just ignore this, like just live my life after, seeing all this debt that they took out for our schooling. And that's when I learned. a lot about personal finance. I mean, you learn a lot about how money works when the majority of the money that you make is just gone because you're paying off
Mm,
debt. And it's
yeah.
not even my debt, right? Technically, right?
Right.
It's someone else's, which again, I did willingly, and looking back on it, I would totally do it all over again. But that's where I learned, and that's where I got my attitude towards debt in general, which is I just avoid it like the plague as much as possible. But also about once I started to see the light at the end of the tunnel, where we were really starting to make progress on debt, like that's when I started to shift my focus towards investing. And
Mm,
this is why I say like you're so lucky that you're investing like your parents invested while you're in high school, and
yeah.
you've been investing for years, and
Yeah.
you're only 23. I started investing when I was 30 because that's the only
Mm,
time that I could. I had no other money left over.
yeah.
Like, and that's that once I was able to not have to pay those debts, that's when I turned my focus to investing, which honestly was hard for me to do because after all those years of seeing the money that I was earning go away, the possibility of putting my money into something that could go down in value seemed
Yeah.
stupid to
That's
me.
a little scary. Yeah.
Like why
Yeah.
would I do that? But the more I read up on it, and I was just convinced by the logic of it all
Mm,
that this is the right thing to do. And it's the wise thing to do. And that's when I started to really start getting serious about investing. And
mm,
I remember I was actually looking this up for a video that I was going to do, which is my whole investing journey since 30, and how stupid I felt when I put so I opened up my Roth IRA in 2017 or 16, I think, um, and put in $1,000 into VTSAX, which is the total Vanguard total stock market, and feeling so stupid watching it like change day by
oh,
day, and being like, oh, it went up $1, or like, oh, it went down like $3, and just seeing like how little the changes were
yeah.
affecting, right? But man, once you start hitting, and I don't know where you're at, but once you hit like that 100,000 mark in your investing, that's really when things start to move.
Yeah. Sure.
It's because those percentage swings that can happen in a day or in a week or in a month, it's like serious money. And you know as well as I do, like the market has just been on a tear recently.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it's just ridiculous,
It's
like
kind of crazy. It's like, especially considering like the geopolitical
oh yeah.
situation. Like, it's kind of
Oh yeah.
wow.
The market is just, I feel like, divorced from reality in
Yeah,
some
almost.
sense.
Yeah, it seems so disconnected.
But I mean, what am I gonna do? Like not be invested because of that? It's like, no, just time in the market, right?
Yeah,
And
time in the market.
yeah, and don't take it out,
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, that's really why I've been personally so
yeah.
interested in personal finance, because these are all the things that I wish somebody taught me, like
Right,
just
yeah.
like how you had your dad. Like I wish somebody was teaching me
Yeah.
about these kinds of
I was
things about,
extremely lucky.
yeah, for
Um,
sure, for sure.
yeah.
Um, I know we wanted to talk about Korean American things, and I feel like I've already kept you for too long, but maybe we could spend a little bit of time. Are you okay on time?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Um, I'm Korean American, you're Korean American. Uh, what's it like? And I should preface that we're not in an area where there's a lot of Korean Americans. Like we're not in LA, we're not in New
Nope.
York, we're not in what,
Atlanta.
Seattle, Northern Virginia, Atlanta. Like now I'm starting to kind of run out of places where Koreans are. But
Yeah.
what was it like growing up Korean American? Did you ever feel different?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, like, it was a classic experience of like, oh, like, mom made you lunch in elementary school and you bring it. And then all
Keep
your,
up.
yeah, but keep up and like all your friends are like, oh, this smells. But then it's like
Yeah.
by like the end of the year, they're like, oh, can I have some?
Yeah.
So, um, but yeah, I don't think I really ever had friends that were Korean, throughout childhood, late childhood, high school, like most of my friends in high school were, um, a bunch of white guys. I was the token Asian guy kind of in the group. Um, and like, even if I did have friends that were Korean or Asian, it was, like from church. But
Mhm.
even then, like my closest friend from church he was half white, half Asian. So, yeah, you definitely feel kind of like different for sure.
Did you
Um,
experience any stereotyping?
yeah, I mean, it's like friends make jokes like, "Oh, you're good at math," or like, I don't know, like, yeah, stuff like that. But, um, yeah, nothing like extreme. Obviously, you just kind of like feel just like slightly different, basically. So
Gotcha.
that's kind of
Gotcha.
my experience. So,
What's it like dating as a Korean American?
um, I was actually thinking about this recently. I think that kind of aspect is where I've seen the most like dramatic like change, I guess. I don't know, where I noticed the one of the more dramatic differences. Like, kind of forgot to touch on this earlier, but there's as an Asian American guy, I feel like there's a lot of like just like kind of the general stereotype is like, oh, they're kind of like passive. They'll just kind of they're like kind of yes man, or like never really taking like a main role. They just kind of like silently work hard and kind of like whatever. Um, so that was like it made it more difficult to be a leader, I guess, in that way and develop those skills, which I was kind of bummed out about. But and then in terms of dating, I would say I didn't really think about this, but until recently, but I think growing up, like my perception of, um, I guess I never really felt like, I guess, attractive, if that makes sense. Like my definition of like a good looking guy, like was just what I saw, just like a bunch of like white guys around me or like Caucasian, like the Caucasian features, like stuff like that. But, so I feel like I spent a lot of my childhood and like high school growing up kind of like, oh, I'm not like a very like attractive guy. I never really got much attention from girls or anything like that, especially in school, because I mean, there weren't really any other Asian girls or anything like that, like Asian people in general. So there was a lot of that. But then I think there's kind of like a weird change when I got to college and like recently.
Mhm.
I think as soon as I got to college and like sophomore year of college, something kind of changed. I don't know what it was. Maybe it's just like my experience in a vacuum. Like maybe it's just kind of like something happened for me specifically, but I feel like the beauty standard kind of shifted kind of away to be so like ethnocentric to like Caucasian features. I think it's like there's a weird obsession. I think maybe like the whole K-pop boom in the States kind of had to do with things. But there was a lot more attention and a lot more kind of the beauty standards just kind of like shifted a little bit, and then like suddenly Asians just became a little bit more like kind of mainstream, I guess, attractive or whatever. So I didn't really do any dating until college, basically. So
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay, so you touched on it. I meant to bring this up. I wanted to bring this up, which is what do you think of this popularity, the sudden
Oh,
popularity of all things Korean?
yeah. I mean, I think I like certain aspects of it. I think it's nice to see an appreciation for like, like different aspects of Korean culture, like the food, I think is it's like nice to see going from like smelly kimbap to like, oh, there's like a bunch of like, everyone loves Korean food now. It's like great. Like you have like my German coworker that has a jar of kimchi in her fridge. Like it's cool to see this appreciation for the cuisine and for the culture and things. But I have an opinion on K-pop specifically.
Okay, tell me.
I think it's a little bit scary. It's a little bit weird, a little creepy. There's plenty in college. I noticed this a lot. There was a lot of like, uh, like obsession with kind of this very narrow facet of Korean culture. Like K-pop just became Korean culture to a lot of people,
Mm.
just because that was like what they were into, which is fine. It's just like it just kind of sucks for um, K Korean culture to be just K-pop, which honestly I shouldn't be. I guess I don't have a huge reason to be mad because a lot like a surprising like fraction of Korea's like GDP is from K-pop specifically, but yeah, it was kind of weird, especially as a Korean guy too. There's like this little bit of like a fetishization of kind of like K-pop, that kind of part of Korean culture.
Okay, so
So
yeah, so how did that affect you personally? You said fetishization.
yeah, it's just I mean, I don't think I experienced anything weird in terms of like being approached by anyone or whatever. It's just hearing people talk about like people around me talk about, like Korean men in media in these like groups and like it just was very I don't know, unsettling. It was like do people like me because I'm like a cool guy or am I just am I just like a projection of their K-pop obsession or something like that. I don't know. It was just kind of like I don't want to like assume that, you know, I'm like someone's like Jungkook or something, but sometimes it kind of felt like that. Sometimes it kind of felt like, oh, um, yeah, you're
Okay,
Korean. I love
yeah,
K-pop.
I need a story. Like what like give me an instance of this happening.
I don't know. I feel like it's a sensitive topic, but like I remember we'd have these like we'd have friends that are not Korean, but they love K-pop, and it's like, um, sure, I'm all for appreciating the culture and everything like that, but there's sometimes there'd be this weird boundary that'd be crossed where it's like, um, I don't really care. Like, okay, you can have like a Korean name for yourself. You're studying Korean, that's cool. But like it was like,
They gave themselves a Korean name?
yeah, 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 yeah. And that's fine. That's okay. That's like
It's not okay. It's not okay.
I think it's like one of the less offensive like things you can do. But there's a lot of like I don't know. I can't think of a specific instance, but a lot of like like they would use we when referring to like Koreans and they're not Korean or like this very interesting. obsession with Korean culture that was, I guess it could have just stemmed from K-pop, but still seemed very grounded in K-pop. And it would cause these people to like want to morph into Koreans. And it was kind of scary. I don't know. It was weird. It was really weird. I wasn't like, I shouldn't say scary. I wasn't like threatened by it or anything. It's just kind of uncomfortable and seemed a little embarrassing.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah.
I wonder if on some level Japanese Americans feel this way when people are really obsessed with anime.
I'm sure they do. Yeah. I'm sure that was probably like long before um K-pop, kind of this whole
Oh
K-pop
yeah.
fever or whatever. But there's a term like a weeaboo or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
And then it's interesting that, you know, koreaboo kind of
Koreaboo.
stemmed from that.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah.
yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Well, okay, so on the
Um,
topic of Korean, and I know we've already gone a long time, but
oh, no
you know,
worries. This is
I
fun.
feel
This is
like being
great.
Korean American is almost synonymous with being Korean American or being going to church.
Yep.
The stats show that the majority of Korean Americans, more than any other Asian American group, way more than any other Asian American group, goes to church. In what way did going to church growing up, um, because we both go to the same Korean American church, Korean church. Uh, well, maybe I should just ask it more broadly. What was it like growing up in the Korean American church?
Um,
Well, let me ask you this, less broadly. What do you think the Korean American church does right?
what does it do right? Hmm. Um, I think that it's very nice to have faith and culture kind of intersect. I think it just helps with kind of the community, the closeness of the community. Like you feel, um, it's like I think it's easier to kind of relate to each other in terms of, things we struggle with, that and how that ties into faith, or um, things we can like celebrate together. And um, I think it does a good job of like creating a space where, you can align in both faith and culture, which isn't, I guess, specific to Korean American churches, but um, that's just kind of what I can say, I think.
Mhm. And do you
Yeah.
feel that difference when you go to, because I know, I mean, just from
Yeah.
knowing you, that you've gone to other non-Korean churches.
Yeah. The difference is definitely apparent. I feel like I do a little bit of like code switching when I'm, at a like more like a multicultural church, or just like any other church really that isn't a Korean church. So there's like definitely a different kind of feeling to it. Different way you like interact with people, obviously. Um, so
Can
I
you go
definitely
into
noticed the
that?
difference. Yeah.
Yeah, what can you tell me more about that code switching thing? Because I think a
Yeah.
lot of Korean
So
Americans can relate to that.
yeah, it's just, you like kind of mill around, and you like meet people, introduce yourself, and you give them a nice firm handshake, and it's like that's completely different. And it's just there's like a totally different, like, I don't know, it's just the energy is totally different. It feels a little bit more uncomfortable just because it's kind of like not what I'm used to. I'm trying to find like a more specific characteristic that is different between like going to Bethel versus like going to Beaverton. Um, But the only thing that comes to mind that it may be kind of like the fact that I experienced like Korean church mostly as like a youth member or as like a young adult. That might be kind of like a confounding variable there, but um, it's just kind of seemed more like kind of like we're all a bunch of like people and we're all kind of like it just felt like you could just kind of be yourself. I didn't feel like I had to be like kind of change the way I behave. It just felt more natural
Hmm.
compared to like going to a non-Korean church. It just felt kind of very rehearsed. Like felt like I had to think about all these things. I had to kind of like act a little bit differently.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. What do you think the Korean American church does or could improve upon?
Mm, I think that's something I appreciate about non-Korean churches is their ability to they will like it's easier to open up, which is kind of weird because you feel like less comfortable. It's like less of a familiar environment, but then it's like they very like there's more. I feel like I've opened up more in like kind of like in the multicultural kind of like the faith student faith organization at school. Like there, I've had a lot deeper conversations and like kind of connections and like mentorship with my like non-Korean peers and mentors in faith there. Like I feel like maybe it's just kind of the environment, like the fact that it's not a church, that it's more of like a small group, but um there was more kind of like a vulnerability and openness. I feel like Korean church is very kind of like I don't know, even just remembering like youth pastor sermons from back when I was in high school, there was a strong aversion to very uncomfortable topics. Like it was, there was this kind of like this undertone of like, oh, like a lot of kids are like struggling with this, or like, there are things that we should probably talk about at our age, but just never talked about. And it was just like a very weird, kind of like a liminal space that was felt very directionless.
Mm.
Yeah.
So now, here's a tough question. Maybe we can sort of start wrapping up with this one is, are there any barriers in the Korean American church that get in the way of people experiencing God? I feel like you kind of touched on it with the vulnerability
I
part.
think for me, I think that was it. Like just, I think from like when I was in youth group, I definitely could have used like those hard conversations. I think it would have been like incredibly beneficial, just like to me, to every, like to my peers. And, um, yeah, there's like, I think I've grown a lot in faith through kind of relationships with my peers and with mentors. Um, and I'm realizing now, like through that, that not having that as like a kid in youth group or like in a Korean church was very like it made my faith very stagnant.
Hmm,
So there was no like kind of depth to it. So I feel like
gotcha.
that's yeah. Felt very entry level, like, oh, you kind of show up, do all these fun things, and but that was it.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, we could probably spend another
Yeah.
hour just talking. I mean, I've told you my own gripes
Yeah.
about everything too.
Hmm. Hmm.
Maybe last question is, I feel like if somebody's listening to this, they've gotten a pretty good sense of, where your head's at, who you're like. Uh, what do you think is one thing that you wish people knew more about of you?
Um, hmm. Um, I don't know. I think probably that I feel like sometimes, I don't know, I may be wrong, but I feel like sometimes, like, I don't know, someone will ask me, like, oh, where'd you go to school? What did you study? I say, like, biochemistry. And then I get this reaction. It's like, whoa, this guy's like super smart or like a nerd or whatever. But I think, um, I don't know. I feel like I was, I'm like incredibly lucky, I think, that my parents were so supportive that, um, I had like a great relationship with my brother. I had a very happy childhood, and I feel like, I don't know, I'm kind of like reserved and kind of like do my own thing. And, um, but I don't know. I'm not like, I never really had all the answers even then. And it was still a lot of confusing things, a lot of like difficult things. Um, and I don't know. I felt even to this day, I kind of struggle with like a bit of like perfectionism. Like I still don't feel like, um, I'm doing well or like doing good enough. Like there's a little bit of that. But I don't know, recently I feel like, especially post grad, I've kind of had this realization of like, oh, um, you know, I should just kind of like enjoy what I'm doing. Like it was kind of tough, like not getting into med school during my first application cycle. Um, but then I kind of learned like, oh, it's just like enjoy the process and like don't be so fixated on the results because that's just gonna make life miserable. So I would say, I don't know, that was kind of a really roundabout answer, but I've made a lot of mistakes and I struggled like a lot, I guess, plenty. And sometimes I still feel like I don't really know what I'm doing, even though I feel like from this you might think like, oh, he's got his finances like planned out and he's like applying to med school and he's working and he made a great decision to go to college. I don't really know. It's like I just got really lucky and I had a really supportive environment. But also I learned to like just kind of like do your best and kind of like try to enjoy what's going on at the moment.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So I don't really know if that's
No, yeah, no, yeah. That was
yeah.
good. Last question. Okay.
Okay.
What would you want somebody to know about what it's like to be Korean American, specifically a Korean American guy, to somebody who's not Korean?
Somebody who's not Korean American. Um, I don't know. I wish I could have like I really want to have this conversation with like um someone who's like comes from like whose family is like Mexican or um I don't know, like other Asian American families, but like because I want to know what it's like for them. But I think for Korean Americans, I don't know, from personal experience, I think there's a lot of like and maybe not an expectation, but like I don't know, for me, there's a big insecurity in like my Korean, like how Korean am I? Obviously look like a Korean and I'm come from a Korean family, but I'm not fluent in Korean. So that's a huge insecurity. And I feel like a lot of Korean Americans probably struggle with the same thing. Like I went to Korea this past summer, and before I even opened my mouth, they knew I was not from Korea. So um, I don't know, there's a little bit of that. Like biologically, I'm like 100% Korean, but also not really at the same time. So that's kind of like kind of sucks. Like, oh, I'm not fluent in Korean. I probably could be, but even then, it's like there's some differences, I guess, that make it different and make you kind of stand out, especially in a culture where I feel like you're not supposed to stand out really. It's like very homogenous. when I went. Like everyone kind of looks the same, does the same things, wears the same things. So that's what I would summarize it as. Like struggle with like standing out in a very homogenous culture.
I had that same exact experience when I visited Korea
Yeah.
4 or 5 years. I to this day I've traveled different countries. Obviously I've lived in the US and in a predominantly white, very white area. I have
Yeah.
never felt more out of place than in Korea.
Right.
Like
Which is so
it's
counterintuitive.
so yeah, which is why I think. And I think that's what, if someone were to ask me that question, that's what I would say is that Korean Americans, there's obviously degrees, like varying degrees of how Korean you are, but Korean Americans are not Korean, like
No,
it's
definitely not.
very different. And like you said, I think a lot of other, you know, Hispanic Americans, other Asian Americans probably feel the same. And it's
Mm-hmm.
just, we're at this
Mm.
weird time in culture where Korean culture is so Korean things are so celebrated. Like if you told me, dude, like 20 years ago that Korea stuff would be this popular,
Yeah.
I would have told you you're nuts, like you're
Yeah.
crazy. So okay, well, I didn't plan on talking this long, but I appreciate you giving me your time and
Yeah,
sharing
not at
everything
all.
that you
That
did.
didn't even
And
feel that long.
yeah, I
So
mean,
that's
yeah,
great.
appreciate you being vulnerable. And yeah, I don't know how I'm going to upload this or if I'm going to break this up to different
Might have
sections
to
or
split it
yeah,
into.
maybe, but like honestly, like these are the kinds of things that I personally click on is like hour and a half, 2 hour long conversations
Oh, there
and
you
just,
go.
just have it in the
Looking
background or
forward.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I really appreciate you talking with me and who knows, maybe we'll do a part two. I mean, I'm going to be talking with other people.
Oh, yeah. We do
Yeah.
like a bigger, like kind of a, like a group kind of format too. That could be interesting.
Yeah, potentially could do that. Yeah. So, yeah. All right. All right, Caleb. Well, I appreciate
All right.
appreciate your time and
Thanks for having
yeah.
me.
Yeah, of course. Have in this inaugural episode.
Oh, yes.
So,
Very
yeah.
exciting.
All right, man. Okay. Have a
Okay.
good night.
Yeah, you
Okay.
too.
Yeah.
Catch
See
you
ya.
later.